Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Manchester United 2, Rangers 0 in the second pre-season game for Man United, but one that saw far more of the first team involved as opposed to only 2 or 3 in the first game. The debut, of course, of Leny Yoro, Ahmad back in the team, Sancho back in a Manchester United shirt as well, and quite a fair amount to unpack from that game. And of course, as with a lot of preseason games, you don't get too carried away too soon with anything. But of course, you can look at some of the problems, and you most certainly should look at some of the positives. And before I get on to individual players and who sort of stood out to me, I want to look at the team as a whole. And the one thing that stood out to me is that far more regularly in this game, we were trying to play one touch and two-touch football. We were trying to move the ball a lot quicker. And that, for me, is going to be really, really key throughout the course of next season. Far too often, Man United in the last few years have been a bit too static. The ball has moved too slowly. That has made it very difficult for us to break down low block teams, break down defensive sides, and even the better teams that afford you more space, they're able to react quicker to what you're doing because you're giving them an extra touch or two, an extra few split seconds to get themselves set and make their decision. So there was lots of really good interplay. And I'm talking about this from a Manchester United perspective. Some of you that may be watching and tuning in support other clubs who have been doing that for a long while and a long time ago. I don't get what you're excited about. It isn't so much excitement. It's just that was something nice to see. I want to see more of it, and I want to see us develop that as we move forward, because with that one-touch, two-touch football, what we were able to do is break them down, and we probably should have scored 2 or 3 goals, and 2 or 3 of the types of goals that I want to see more at Manchester United, and that is those cutbacks. Ahmad, absolutely brilliant on the right-hand side. Sancho, equally as good at times from the creative standpoint on the left, and if we are developing that into our game going into next season, where we're going to work the ball quicker, get it into those wide areas with players making underlap and overlapping runs to create space, the ball being switched quickly, enabling us to pull that ball back into the 6-yard box, into the 18-yard box for sort of tap-ins and attempts on goal. That is a really important string to add to the bow of Manchester United. Reacting to pre-season, Terry, surely not. I've been doing that for about 2 or 3 years, and we will cover more than just Manchester United. But yes, we react to preseason stuff. I have done for a long time on the Football Terrace. So where have you been? Where have you been? I don't understand it. My friend, maybe you're new to the Football Terrace. I don't know. When it comes to the players on the field of play today, look, I want to actually first speak. I want to speak about who I thought was the player of the game today for Man United, and that is Ahmad. I thought he was slick in possession. His passing and his first touch was crisp. He was direct at the right moments. He held the ball up at the correct times. His dribbling was excellent. He got his decision-making spot on, when to shoot, when to pass, when to create, when to try and score. And that balance in his play was excellent. Plus, for all the great skill, for all the great first touches, for all the great movement and passes, there was delivery. There was end product. Of course, he produced the winning goal. It was quite a well-worked team goal, to be honest with you, with Mount and Leny involved. But he finished it absolutely brilliantly into that far bottom corner. And that right-hand side this season, I don't care who else we sign, this young man deserves game time. This young man deserves the opportunity to, apply his trade. This young man deserves the opportunity to try and be the main man in that position. I think he really, really deserves an opportunity. I thought he was great. I thought young Toby in the middle, playing next to Casemiro, did very well today. A little slow in the beginning. I felt that he, on a couple of occasions, was caught a little bit flat-footed and gave away some fouls. I think in the Premier League, he would have probably have been booked a little bit, and definitely in Europe, booked a little bit earlier in the game, but he grew into that first half, showed really good speed, an excellent turn of pace, technically proficient on the ball, and he may be another young Man United player in the midfield to look out for going into this season. I was really impressed with the overarching performance from him. Jadon Sancho, a lot of people like myself thought we'd never see him play in a Man United shirt ever again. And the situation between him and Ten Hag has been resolved, which for me is great to see. I thought he equipped himself very well today. Some brilliant dribbles at goal. He was dangerous on that left-hand side. Some of the crosses that he played into the box, we maybe should have done better with. And I was a little bit, alike with a few of the players like Ahmad as well, I was a little bit gutted to see him come off at halftime, but I understand it's pre-season. You're only going to give the players 45 minutes at this particular juncture. But I was really impressed with Jadon Sancho. And aside from the game, him and Ten Hag have apologized to each other, or at the very least buried the hatchet, whichever it may be. So really happy to see Jadon Sancho back in a Man United shirt. And look, the club's being turned around, if we are going to improve, and I saw differences in our style of play today, nowhere near the finished article, not making that claim. Listen, I'd love for someone like Jadon Sancho to be able to make it and to deliver his full potential at United. It would be a dream come true. And of course, we have to speak about Leny Yoro making not his official Manchester United debut, but his first appearance in a Man United shirt. And I was thoroughly impressed. And I know he had a good game because of the reaction on social media, because of the way rivals are fuming, because of the way Man United fans praising his passing range, praising some of his attributes, praising elements of his performance has led to people having meltdowns. That's how you know you're kind of in a good situation. Now, when it comes to his game, look, Man United dominated the vast majority of the ball, and they were by far the better side. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. He had a couple of moments where he was tested defensively. There was a good through ball that was played. He actually marshaled the striker well. I actually thought Onana should have come out and picked the ball up, but Onana kind of hesitated. But Yoro, instead of just saying, well, I've done my job, I'm going to leave it for the goalkeeper who should be there, and taking that risk, he knocked it out for a corner. And it was the correct thing to do because the goalkeeper had already made a mistake and he mopped up after him. But it was really good to see his turn of pace. He read the situation well. He shows that he's got good body strength. There was also a moment where he played a really good pass that Johnny Evans is meant to walk onto. And I like the pass because I want to see more of that. We do far too much ball to feet at Man United. There are times that you've got to play the ball into space and an individual's got to come onto the ball. Johnny Evans didn't read it correctly, and it led to a counter-attack opportunity. But Leny's recovery pace, positioning and reading of the game got him back into the right position. He makes a block and again saves another teammate within the game. His overarching passing range was excellent. His short passing, his ability to touch, pirouette, turn, move the ball quickly, everything was 1 and 2 touch, and I liked it. But the passing range came to light with some of his diagonal and long passes that he played, 2 of which led to good opportunities. There was a diagonal ball very early on. Our left back made a sort of an inverted run. The midfielder goes on the outside and he switched the ball very, very quickly. He saw it and he had the ability to do it. We've seen for years in the Premier League, the brilliance of Virgil van Dijk play that diagonal ball, did it very well. There's also a really good long ball into Ethan Wheatley, who got a brilliant flick onto Ahmad. Ahmad did well, squared it back. It almost led to a goal. And I like that because you have to be able to mix it up at times. Even the brilliant Pep Guardiola team at City, we have seen them go long at times. FA Cup final 2 seasons ago as a prime example, the opening goal. And they did that many times. You know, you knock it in long, you get Haaland to knock it down and bring somebody else into play. And getting that sort of mixture, I think, is really, really important to our play. And overall, I was impressed with Leny. I think good turn of pace, good positioning, did his defensive duties well. Passing was absolutely excellent. He's 18 years of age. There's a long way for him to go. There's far more development that's needed. But I thought he equipped himself very, very well indeed. Some bigger tests ahead in pre-season. And the Premier League is, of course, a very, very different level. But I was impressed with what I saw. But overall, as I say, Ahmad stood out. I was happy with Leny. I was very proud to see what Sancho did today. But the thing that stood out the most to me was some subtle differences in our style. 1 and 2 touch football, trying to get the ball from back to front. Not so much quicker, but not dilly-dallying on the ball. Not everybody taking 3, 4, 5, 6 touches. There are times where you have to do that, but we move the ball really quickly. And early on, like Mount and Casemiro overhitting some of the final balls, they actually got better throughout the course of the second half. Me and KJ exchanged some messages, and I agree with KJ when he said they look off it. I felt they actually got better. It was a wonderful left-footed ball from Casemiro out to the right-hand side. But crazily enough, he had 2 or 3 easier passes earlier that would have put us in, and he messed them up. But we can forgive that in pre-season. I'm not going to over-analyze that element of it. But us trying to move the ball quicker, I think it's going to be a key component. I hope to see more of that during pre-season, and we go from there. Terry, where was the Rosenberg review video? I was driving back from Germany. I was literally driving back from Germany when that game was being played. I wasn't in the UK. I was in a van. And Blaze, you're a Chelsea fan. You know this. I've done reviews for Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal for many years now. You have super chatted on my Chelsea preseason match reactions. You know you have. Let's not try and pretend like I've just started doing them because Man United won a game. But yes, I was driving back from Germany, my bro. I see a few United fans in the comment section. I assume United fans say Ahmad is better than Garnacho. I'm going to say this now. We don't need to talk like this. Man United fans, stop playing your players off against one another. Let rivals do that if they want. If you like Ahmad more than Garnacho, great. But there is zero need for us to have that conversation. What mileage is there? They don't even play on the same side of the pitch as in their preferred positions. So let go. Man United fans, we don't need to create another Martial versus Rashford, Bruno versus Pogba nonsense. Don't do that. If you want to like go on the internet and like create a war between two players, do it about a rival club. Why do it about your own players? It makes zero sense to me. Come on now. Having said that, Ahmad was brilliant today. KJ's joining me now. KJ, cheers for coming on back on, brother. Look, it was I know we watched a little bit of the preseason game Monday as we were waiting to go on to the shuttle over in France, but it did seem a lot better today than what we saw then.
Yeah, you can tell the players have been training for a lot longer than the first time we played. And plus, there's less young players playing as well. So more first-team players came back. The whole looked better. So it was decent. I can start to see what we're trying to do. The first game, you couldn't really see that because obviously there were so many changes and people coming back and so many youth. So like it's hard to see what we were trying to do. But as the game got on, you started to see what we wanted to do. And I'm happy with that. Now going forward in the transfer market, and now kind of an idea what we need to look for, and we definitely need that midfielder who can control the game, because I think going forward, wide play, we have some good wingers. I think last season the problem with our wide players is that the attack and the structure of the team was so disjointed that they just didn't really understand what they was trying to do. And there was a lot of off the cuff, a lot of chemistry was missing. But today I see what we're trying to do with our wingers. And with the wingers that we got, Sancho being back, Ahmad, Garnacho, and Rashford, less spoke about Anthony the better. But at least with those four, at least I can be like, going into the season, I can deal with those four being there. I can see why the fact that we missed out on Elise is not really a massive what we're gonna do now, because it's kind of like, okay, cool, like the way that we want to play, that our wingers probably can do what we want to do. It's now it's now in that middle section. The wide areas, I can see the vision. That middle section now, that's what we need to focus on. So I think, yes, I do believe a midfielder is key, because like we were saying, like we mentioned before, I saw Casemiro and I saw Mount, and I was struggling to see how their roles were fulfilling in the game. And yes, they improved and yes, they got better, but we need to definitely look to improve our midfield area essentially, because we need that high volume passer. We need that guy who can cover ground. And you know what? Shout out to Toby Collier. I can see why Ten Hag likes him. I can see why every season Ten Hag picks a youth player. First was Garnacho, then it's Manu. I can see why it's him. Because he's got that subtle quality where he's not doing everything amazing. He's not doing all these amazing passes, all these amazing dribbling, but he just does the job and he's solid. He could cover the ground well. He's comfortable on the ball. And sometimes a young player, that's all you need him to be. You don't need him to be Manu. You don't need him to be Garnacho wowing people. You need him to be solid. And Collier, I think, will get minutes for sure. But definitely moving forward, Cass and Mount, if they don't improve, we definitely need to bring some more midfielders in. If the links to Zubimendi is true and Ugarte is true, if we could get those two in, we're set for good season.
Well, yeah, I think when you look at obviously Ugarte, Zubimendi, different profiles in themselves, which is why I hope that we are actually looking at both, because you've got more of a sort. There's two things in this. I don't want to see Manu play 50 plus games this season. Not because I don't think he has the capabilities, but he's young. And we've seen what's happened to a lot of other young players in history that play too much too soon. And I don't want him to get to 2021 and his body starts to break down and loads of much. You know, you think about Theo Walcott, Michael Owen, Jack Grealish, Pedri's going through it at the moment. And I think so much of that was playing maybe a little bit too much too soon. If you could throw a Ugarte for his ability to, you know, his legs and his ability to break up play, a Zubimendi into that team who, yes, plays deeper, but is far more technically gifted than, say, Ugarte. You add those two into the mix, you know, maybe with a Scott McTominay and a, and a Casemiro leaving. You then add Manu, you then add Bruno, you then even throw in maybe as sort of like the fifth choice in that, like a Christian Eriksen that stays and comes in the right periods in games. I then think you've got a good mixture of sort of strength, break-up play, distribution, creativity as well. So for year one, I wouldn't say the midfield is complete, but for year one in this sort of rebuild, I'd be happy with that. So I definitely think that's an area that we have to kind of consider, because Casemiro, as much as I want him to do well, it's for every amazing pass, it's just the subtlety on the ball isn't quite there. And he doesn't have the, look, he's Pomp, we know he's better, but he doesn't have the legs of a Ugarte now. And that's my concern with him. We weren't playing the creme de la creme. And the next match against Arsenal in 8 days' time is going to be really interesting to watch. So who comes in, who's in the team by then. Hopefully, you know, we see a bit more of the first team back as well in those 8 days. I'm not actually sure where Rashford was today, because I know he plays in the other match. And, you know, I'm hopeful. I know he was at the Euro still fairly late, but he didn't really kick a ball, Xerxes. I'd like to see him involved. And maybe somebody else is there as well. Terry forgot about Money Mace. Yeah, I did, to be honest with you. So I was talking, yeah, I mean, Mace might stay. There's rumors today he might go. Fabrizio shut them down pretty quickly. But we will see. What did you make? Of course, we've seen some rivals exceedingly salty online. Blood pressure must be through the roof this Saturday afternoon. What did you make of the first appearance in the United shirt for young Leny Yoro?
Composed. He looked absolutely solid. Composed on the ball. Nothing really much phased him. And you can tell he's confident in his ability. Even if he makes a mistake, like with the pass, which really isn't his fault. It was more of the communication of Collier and Evans with that one. But even with that pass, he recovered well, got in front of the shot, and he barely put a foot wrong in this game. And when he's passing the ball, I'm confident he will reach the destination. Like with Maguire, with Lindelof, and with Varane at times, those three, they're on the ball, and every now and then it's just like, is that ball actually going to make it? Like, are you making the right decision? Like, but with Leny today, I saw there's a guy composing the ball, confident in his ability, and some of the switches that he was doing today, the ball he gave to Wheatley, the ball he gave out to the young Murray who was playing left back for us today, stuff like that. Where I'm like, yes, give me more of that. Him and Alessandro doing that in a game will be beautiful to see. But yeah, and obviously, of course, rivals are going to do the hate watch. You know what I'm saying? Rivals are going to see that one pass and be like, 50 million, 60 million pounds for this kid. He's awful. Like, obviously, they're going to do all of that. But if you watch the game, you understand that he was very solid. And Arsenal will be a great test for him, because he's going to start to come up against some proper Premier League footballers. And now you're going to be under a little bit more pressure. Can you handle that? But for his first test, for his first run out, very, very happy with him indeed. Very happy with him indeed.
No, I agree. And there are bigger tests to come. I think Man United fans have got to be aware that he isn't the finished article, but we've got to protect him. You saw, I mean, it's always flattering. And I felt the same with rivals doing it to Arsenal last summer. It's so flattering that on a Saturday afternoon, there are Arsenal and Chelsea and Liverpool fans that are tuning in to MUTV. So they're paying for a Man United subscription to watch Leny Yoro play so that they're able to criticize any mistake they see. And the only mistake they actually had wasn't his fault. And an Arsenal fan actually tweeted me saying, of course it was his fault. If he does that in the Premier League, it'll cost you goals. And I thought, well, yeah, if the centre-back doesn't walk onto that pass, it's going to cost him goals. And loads of things I liked about Leny today, but you could see he's come from a system where it's, let's just move the ball quickly. One touch, maybe two, and let's get that ball past. Just keep it moving. Let's keep our opponents working the whole time. And I like that about him. But United fans have got to keep their feet on the ground, and we've got to learn to protect him, because we've already got Man Utd they're gunning for. We're going to have him they're gunning for. And it's what I said to that person earlier. It was like, oh, Ahmad over Garnacho. We don't need to do this. As Man United fans, we have got to... I mean, there is almost zero mileage in the debate at this particular juncture. So why throw it out there into the ether? Especially if we go and get a Branthwaite, especially if we go and add another centre-back to the mix, let us not start infighting. let us not start throwing our own players under the bus. That's the thing for me that I want to see United fans get better at this season, is protecting their own. And, if you're in a bad mood, you want to have a pop at a player, do it about a rival. Why do it? Where's the mileage? I mean, I get, right? Say it's a player that's always been poor for us, has no real future. I kind of get to a certain degree. But when it's someone that's just come in, where the world's eyes are already on him, drop me out. Yeah. But your boy Ahmad today, and I say your boy because me and you went back and forth for a couple of seasons on him. I always said I wasn't particularly sure. I'm well and truly in the mud on that one, because I think there's a real talent in this young man. And he kind of made a statement today of, start giving me proper game time, Ten Hag.
Yeah, honestly, he's one of the footballers at Man United I call my son, because I just love him so much. You know what I mean? Like he showed his quality again today. And when he first came to United, he obviously had that epic moment where he scored that backwards header against AC Milan in the Europa League. And for me, that's when I knew, okay, listen, there's a footballer here. And every time he played for Man United, when he was first here, he was showing glimpses. He was getting assists against Wolves. He was getting assists against Leicester. And he was just showing that there's little bits here and there that he could play. The problem was the managers. Did they trust him? No, they didn't. So they sent him out on loan, poor loan to Rangers. And then he has his brilliant breakout season against at Sunderland. And now I was like, yeah, I'm ready for him to go again. And injuries didn't help him at the start of the season and throughout the seasons. But now that he seems like to be over them right now, hopefully he's continuing. You're starting to see the quality. And we're so used to footballers being a certain size. We're so used to footballers being a certain speed and certain kind of P&P in the Premier League. He's not necessarily that. And I think that goes against him. But on the ball, he is fantastic. He makes the right decision nearly most of the time. He's elegant on the ball. And to be fair, he's gotten stronger over the years as well. Like some of the tackles that were going into him today, especially when it's going across the byline, he was shoving them off. He was using acceleration to get past the challenges. So I'm just excited for him, and I hope and I pray, Ten Hag, please just give him games, man. Give him games. I'm not saying he has to be the starting right winger week in, week out. But if Sancho's not working, if Anthony's not working, if Garnacho's let this guy do his thing, please.
Well, I know Rashford's probably going to get game time this season, but if we are changing the style up, and it was just something that I saw Beth from United Stand sort of tweet, it was kind of great to see two creative wingers. I know he actually cut inside and scored, but predominantly Sancho and Ahmad were trying to create. And I was sitting there thinking, the fact that we've got Højlund, who, as Staffy knows, needs people to create for him. We've got Xerxes, and there's talk that we might be going after an Ivan Toney. I'm intrigued to see what the instructions are on our wide players and who the individuals are that we pick to play games. And it's too difficult to tell after one preseason game when still a big percentage of the first team is not even training yet because you have to wait for the dust to settle. But yeah, listen, Ahmad, deserves time. And I will say as well, I want to shout out that the second half United team as well, because most of them know they're not going to be with the first team next season. And I thought the pass and finish from Joe Hugel, and the midfielder's name eludes me, something Delhi. His pass was well weighted. The finish was great as well. So shout out to him. Ethan Wheatley as well, I thought played well in the first half. And in fairness, he did everything right. It was a fantastic block from the Rangers player. And that would have been a great goal as well, mixing it up. But Staffy and Michael with a Staffy, first question I want to ask you, what did you make of the performance, more so first half? Did you see any differences or different attempts on how United were trying to play the game?
I mean, we moved the ball better because our center backs look good. Shout out to Leny Yoro and Evans. I missed a little bit, obviously, of the review you guys just had because I joined late, so I'm not sure if you talked about it in depth or not. But we moved the ball a little bit well. I didn't like the midfield. The midfield we had, which just wasn't really that good. But every time the ball got to our wing play, I should say, our wide play was good today. So every time the ball went there, you kind of saw something. Obviously, Ahmad more than Sancho. But we kind of look good in these areas. You already know that's not going to be our midfield anyways when we go into the season, so I'm not really worried about it. But getting the ball to our wingers and what we did from there was good. I saw a few overlaps from, what's his name, Basaka and stuff. So that was good. We got the ball into the box a lot, which I liked. Obviously, we don't have people who attack the box, and that worries me. That's one thing that we're going to have to work on, whether from our striker or our midfield, because our midfield is meant to crash the box as well. So maybe that would have been different if we had Xerxes or Højlund playing, or if you would have had, I don't know, let's just say Bruno, because we all know Bruno's going to start. Bruno does like to crash the box as well. So that's one area that we need to work on. But in terms of stylistically, I didn't see much different, but it wasn't bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't really say today we just looked bad. We moved the ball well. We worked them a lot. It took us a while to finally get a shot on target, but we look decent, I do want to disagree with KJ about one thing, though. You said, Ahmad doesn't need to be our starting winger. I highly disagree with you. I don't think we have a better winger right now than Ahmad in this team. And I'm just obviously basing it based on talent and ability alone, because your point that I agree with, that he never really gets enough minutes anyways to prove himself. And I'm sure Griggs will talk about it a little bit more because we were doing a watch along together. I really don't remember Ahmad ever having a bad game for us. It's like he either plays good or he just doesn't play. Like, you really don't remember him ever playing bad. No one has ever sat here and pointed out stinkers to Ahmad like we do with every other winger. So when you really think of it, whenever this kid is given the opportunity, he either just gives us an average performance, which just means it's not bad, or he stands out like he did today. Like today, he was a standout performer today, because people always talk about his directness. To be fair, today he had it all. He went to the byline. He cut into his left. He shot from outside the box. He played a couple balls into the box. Like, he's actually done everything. And to be fair, from all of our wingers, I think he's probably his stylistically, his game is more complete than anyone else. And which is why I think we need to go into next season and actually rely on him. I wouldn't say rely on him every game. It's not like he's undroppable. But there's no reason why he can't get minutes. The kid has been on loans. He's proved on good loans, and he's flopped at other loans like Rangers. Not to his fault, really. He's done it all. What are we waiting for to actually give this guy minutes? There is actually no reason right now why he shouldn't have that right wing spot when the season starts on against Fulham. Yeah. And like Tosin said, Staffy's very negative today. I'm being very negative, guys, unfortunately.
I wasn't just saying that about Ahmad to say I don't want him to start. I would love him to start. I'm trying to protect him from from us, you know what I mean? And from
I think KJ was just being a little bit almost humble on his own opinion. I think KJ
doesn't want to overdo it.
Yeah. But I know KJ wants him to start a lot. And I'm someone that always, when Ahmad did get opportunities, I was never that impressed. And what I mean is, I always felt he did the safe option. And I do feel at times as a winger, you've got to take a risk. From when he came back into the team, sort of 2/3 into the way through last season, the Liverpool game and the FA Cup being the standout, I saw someone taking risks. And I was like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for. And he's just, he's got to be. I think, again, unless someone shines through in the next few games, I feel that he has done enough to deserve to be the starting.
And it's a mixed bag, Terry.
Right-hand tackle,
I want you to pay attention to this. Next time Ahmad plays, or if some people like to rewatch the game, go watch how many times Ahmad, when he doesn't take a risk, he raises his hand and he apologizes because he acknowledges to the runner or to the striker, whoever, that I saw it, I just couldn't execute it at the time. So he just shows you that when he needs to like recycle the ball or play the ball simple and just keep the ball in the final third, he'll do it. But when he does see, all right, I can swing in the ball from here, I can go to the byline and play a cutback, or I can shoot. He does do both. He just does it within a balance. And I don't think anyone we have in this team has a balance. Sometimes Sancho's a little bit too protective. Sometimes Rashford is a little bit too direct. And we don't have anyone that has a balance between the two. He's the only one that I see that could do both. So he's very intelligent. And this is what I'm saying. I think he needs to start.
No, I agree. And Griggs, I wanted to ask you, some rivals, and I want to say everybody because we've got a lot of rivals that are great. Some rivals seem very triggered by the first 45 minutes of Big Leny in the Man United team.
Well, rival fans, they've run about a different angles. First, it was the corruption angle. Then it was we overpaid angle. All of a sudden, everyone's a Harvard accountant. It's good for them. I'm glad that they got the degree in accounting at Harvard University. I'm very happy for them. But I just looked at a center back today that he looked like he had it all. One thing I noticed right away was his ability to switch the ball. I think for me, that's one of the key things you need to have as a center back because it opens up the play. For your wingers, it makes it so much easier when your center back can switch the ball to them because automatically you get put into 1v1 situations. And most wingers at the top level can cook their fullback 1v1. It might not always happen, but they have a better chance. And for me, he did a lot of nice switches with Sancho. He was passing with his left foot, which is, I think, one of the biggest weaknesses I had with Varane was the ability to sometimes switch from the right foot to the left foot. He was comfortable passing in between the lines. Recovery pace, he has it. He's 18, he's quick, he's tall. The frame is there. He has all the tools to be one of the best center backs in the Premier League in the future. He's not going to be that right away. We don't expect him to be that right away, but it's all about what we see and the potential. And for me, like, his floor is already so good. Now it's about how high can the ceiling be with him. And for me, the ceiling, based on his physical tools, what I've seen from him at Lille, what I saw from him today, in his first ever game, he only had one training session. He's never played with these guys before. Imagine what he's gonna be next to like a Diogo Dallo instead of a Wan-Bissaka, next to Lisandro Martinez instead of a Johnny Evans. No disrespect to Sir Johnny Evans, but still Lisandro Martinez at this stage of his career is much better. In front of him, he'll have a Kobe Mainu that he can pass between the lines too. That's how good for me he'll be. And one quick word on Ahmad, because like Kid just said, that's his little son for me. Ahmad's like little bro. I was watching him in the Scottish League at like 7 a.m. on Paramount Plus. That's what I was doing. Academy games, him and Hannibal. I love him. And Staffy mentioned it right. He's never had a bad game at United. And that right wing spot, I'm sorry. There is not a single person on that United team that is a better right winger than Amad Diallo when he plays, because he's the kind of player that he'll at minimum give you 7 out of 10. Minimum. He'll never be lower than that. And today you saw the Sunderland Ahmad, because Terry, you mentioned like how he was a lot safer. I agree with that. Sometimes he didn't want to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And that's something he learned at Sunderland because he was the best player on the pitch. He's like, okay, these guys need me to carry the team. I'll do that. And that's what he did. He took them to the playoff. And today, that he was the best player on that pitch for his team in terms of talent. And he did that. He's like, give me the ball and I'll cook. And that's what he did. We just kept passing him the ball, and he's the one that created everything. And that, for me, is a sign of a player. The more confidence he gets, when the better players come, obviously, because Bruno Fernandes will come into the team and he'll demand a lot of the ball, that kind of stuff. And he's the kind of player with better players around him. Bro, he'll cook. We saw the end of last season, man. He's amazing.
No, I think there is a player in there, and wouldn't it be amazing this season? And this is just Man United fans spitballing here. If two of the sort of the biggest price signings under Ollie end up making it, but with a structure at the football club, it would. I would like that, just because we all got excited about those guys when they came in. I just wanted to say final point on Leny. I thought he played quite well with a player that I've read reports that there's a sniper. His agent has said, we're paying for a sniper to have the gun on you every game to make sure you turn up to play for Man United. He's at Man United under duress. I've seen journalists talk about how he was forced to come here. He doesn't want to be here. His agent forced him. He has the gun to his head the whole time. There's snipers pointing guns at him during the game if he tries to leave. I thought he did quite well under that pressure, if I'm being honest with you. So fair play to Leny for handling sort of, being bullied and forced into being a Man United player. I thought he
hey, listen,
I
for an
thought he did very
18-year-old,
well.
18-year-old debuting, what, 2-3 days after signing for a new team, for a new club that he doesn't know. There's no French players on this team, if I believe. So he doesn't know anyone on this team. He probably isn't even the best at English yet. And he has a sniper aimed at him for the whole 45 minutes that he played. I would say that's not bad, you know? I'd be nervous if just one of these things applied to me, let alone all of them together. Listen, he's very good today. And you can see why people say, when you read the scouts and they say, the scout reports, and they say he's a bit of a hybrid between what Rio and Varane is. You can see Greg said it perfectly. He does have the base. And this is one thing that I always talk about when people refer to younger players. Age is just a number when it comes to how good a player is. Like, I don't care about how old you are if you have the base. There's certain players that I've been told that I hate or I criticize, like Hoyland, because I don't want to give him time. The difference between them is you can see that Leny Yoro as a center back, he has a lot of attributes. It's just a matter of how good will you be at these things. Because you've seen him make a mistake today where he gave away the ball, but then he also recovered very well and blocked the ball. Now, is he going to be coached into not making these mistakes again? Because I watched it again. I wanted to see why did he make that mistake. And from what people said about him, what reports said about him, is that he's a player that likes to play sometimes the ball into what's it called? Into the area, not necessarily ball to feet. So he'll see the area and he'll pass it to you. Basically, you need to go get that ball. Today, he did that with Koiler, but he didn't know that he was going to play it there. That cost us a mistake. On another day, we might concede a goal there. Now, is the coaching going to tell him, hey, listen, we understand that you like to do that, but you need to limit it. You can't do that too much because it's going to lead to a lot of turnovers. But other than that, his ball to feet and his pocket play, like passing into the pockets,
I think it's
very good.
I think it's more about his
this is the
teammates.
coach.
Yeah, I think it's more about his teammates and him learning about each other as well. Because if they know that's, and for me, it's the right pass to play. That's again how you break lines and get out from the back. You almost have to. They use this phrase a lot in football. It wasn't used when I was playing as a kid, but it's almost like setting a trap. You play the ball into an area to suck somebody in, but if you know where the ball's going as a team, you get there first. You play the ball through the middle. They're then going to be space. I mean, if Johnny Evans had stepped forward, like I felt Johnny Evans should have done, whoever that Rangers player, he'd have come forward. There then would have been a big hole in the middle for the midfield to work with, and it would have been worked out fine. But the one thing I did get a little excited about was there was a few times where players made mistakes and Leny had to like cover space, and I watched him sprint, and I was like, oh, we're going to have a really fast centre-back. It made me so happy. And this is not a dig at Harry Maguire because he can't help what he is. But Maguire in the last like 6 years, the amount of times we've made mistakes, and if we just had a fast defender, would have been okay, but we don't.
Look up earlier clips of Varane when he first joined Madrid. You'll see how many times he was out of position, but his pace helped him out. Griggs actually mentioned one today. He was like, just go look up when he played against Dortmund, against Aubameyang. And that's young Aubameyang. And we know how fast young Aubameyang was. And you'll see the recovery base. This is why he gets compared to Varane, because of these things.
I agree.
And that's a physical attribute.
Cedric here says, according to The Athletic, Yoro will play 50% of the games this season and become first choice next year. Look, I said it about Manu earlier, and I have the same energy for Yoro. I would love us to go and get Delit or Branthwaite from this point. I would love for us, the rumors today, if Ugarte and Zubamendi come in, I'm buzzing. The reason being is I don't want to see an 18-year-old play week in, week out, 50, 60 games this season if we're successful. We have seen through Premier League history what happens to so many young, and neither Leny or Manu's a little bit more built out. Leny still looks a little bit young to me. Like he's got to grow into his body a little bit more. You even look at what's happening with Pedri at the moment. Too much football too early in his career. So I do hope that those reports are true, that we're looking to start it. And it might be starting 50% of the games. That would make a lot more sense. You know, if we went and got Ugarte and Zubamendi, I would feel so much more comfortable about the development of Manu, because I think he could technically play 50, 60 games this season. But do I want to see a young player do that much so soon? Potentially not. We have some comments here to go through. First one's a super chat from Chike. Thank you for the big donation, bro. He says, as a City fan, I am actually worried about United because they brought in the right people upstairs. Also, if you live near a farm, please have their vegetables because they are quality, and get your meats from a decent store. I do agree with that. Try and buy and source your foods locally and have as few ingredients in your food as possible, if that makes sense.
Chike, did you just buy a farm and you're promoting it? Yeah, we're
uh,
familiar with your games there, bro.
Chike's been on a massive health kick for a long time, so I'm sure he's just that's more of that. But look, I look at it this way. I've heard a lot of rivals, that are not salty sour Terry. I'm looking at United and the way you're moving and the players, and a bit worried. I'm still not convinced if you're a City or an Arsenal fan, you have too much to be worried about this season. I still don't think we're going to get to that level and that consistency this year. But if we keep operating in the way we are, and that manifests itself on the football pitch, I stand by what I've said for 11 years now. When you have the budgets and you spend what Man United do, but you're being orchestrated and run by qualified individuals, you're far more likely to be successful than not. The thing is, Man United are not actually doing anything that is groundbreaking or innovative. We're not inventing the wheel or discovering fire. We are just operating. And that's why what you'll find is, well, that looks a little bit like Chelsea's model in this era. I know they're not doing very well at the minute. Oh, this looks a bit like City's. Or this looks, Barcelona did this in their pomp. And, Liverpool were doing that in the early days under FSG. Of course, you're going to see those elements because teams that have yielded success typically follow very similar kind of patterns. It's just, it's like most people that run restaurants do very similar things to each other. It's just the way it is. Yoro versus Arsenal will be interesting. His first test of Premier League level. It will be. It's going to be an interesting game on the 28th.
Do we not have a game until then?
No, yes, that next game. Arsenal play on Thursday, I believe. They've got a game on the Thursday on the 25th. And then we play, I think it's early hours of the morning we play as well. I think. Interesting.
I might go there in person then. I'll think about it.
I like the Gabriel because I think Gabriel Jesus will probably play striker for that game for them because Kai Havertz will probably still be on vacation. That'll be an interesting test because it's a different kind of striker. It's a dribbling one, the one that'll pull him out like out of position. How can he handle that kind of stuff? That'll be an interesting test for him. Yeah,
that game. It's in Los Angeles where we play him.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I might pull up to that. I do have a ticket for it, so I might go.
Oh yeah, we forgot. Everyone remember Staffy's a high roller, bruv. High roller. Just gonna. Fly to LA.
I was just thinking about either going or selling it last minute. So
I hear you. No, it's also really cool because the UFC that is on the same night, but it's in the UK, but it's being fought at USA times. So the Man United Arsenal game, the Man United game is at 1 a.m. That'll finish, and then UFC begins. So it's going to be it'll be a fun night. It'll be a fun night. Emmanuel here says I thought Collier was amazing.
Well. Yeah, he looked good. You can't tell me you look at him and you're like, yeah, he doesn't start over McTominay. The fact that he was trying to direct play, picking up the ball, asking for the ball, it's so simple and basic, yet we're so deprived of it that it felt relief. I felt relief to see it.
Yeah, it's. I don't even want to I was saying earlier. I want Man United fans to not be out here digging out our own players. But that isn't digging somebody out. That's being honest. I watch him play and just think, look, McTominay crashing the box will probably score more goals than him, more experience than him. But in terms of technical ability on the ball, it's just night and day. It's just night and day. And I feel like over a 90-minute game, if you've got the right structure and tactics, someone that's as good on the ball as Collier will benefit the team more than someone that might score a last-minute winner. You might not need a last-minute winner if you have better midfielders controlling games. It almost
exactly.
It's you can work that out. So yeah, I agree. I think there's a player.
This is actually a good comparison to look about how much our academy has improved in terms of education. Because I think for me, McTominay probably came in the worst era of United Academy. And you look at Collier, you look at Kobe Manu, you even look at a Dan Gore when we've seen him play limited minutes. Dylan Levitt, Ethan Galbraith, that one Europa game that Ole just played the whole starting 11 of kids, and those guys had averaged 100 touches against a professional team. You can tell how much is improving their ability to get on the ball. They're more natural midfielders. McTominay, he's a midfielder by position, but he doesn't have any of those traits. He was probably trained to be a box crasher. So it looks good. At least our academy is kind of developing midfielders more into the traditional midfielder route. Jace Fitzgerald, another one that's coming through. So that's something Ineos has to just continue developing the pipeline because there's Collier's, but Collier's just a normal one. Can we get another main one out? It's like that kind of stuff.
I love this. Terry, are you selling false hope? What false hope? What claim have I made? I believe that when you have the money that Man United do, if over a prolonged period of time you're well run and you were typically speaking making for every bad decision you're making 10 to 15 good ones, I believe that will at the very least get you to a stage where you're highly competitive in the major competitions. The reason I believe that is because it's true throughout the history of all sports. So that's not selling false hope. I've also said, United fans, keep your feet on the ground. We are not challenging for the Premier League next season based off this game, or even if we're good in pre-season. I'm not going to believe that at this particular juncture. But what I am seeing is subtle changes and subtle differences. And we're talking about some players that played well that we want to see more of. That's not selling false hope, in my opinion, Twisted Bubba. If you see it that way, touch grass. Shout out to Will Fish. Looks solid. No, he did. Will Fish did look. I thought the youngsters in the second half did well. I was impressed with them, really. Most of them are not going to make it at Man United, with all due respect, but they came out and they did well. Because, we had a good first half performance. If those youngsters would have lost it and when we end up losing the game 2-1, that's all people would focus on, is that the result it would have been 2-1. Sophia's here. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
All good, thank you. What did you make of today?
I liked it. First half was a lot better than the Rosenborg game we had in Trondheim, earlier this week. So it was really nice to see Ahmad cook. He did very well. Sancho back. It's nice to see that him and Ten Hag finally have squashed the beef. We can now move on. Leny Yoro, I wasn't familiar. I was not familiar. Broski was cooking. He looked very good. 100%. And Toby as well in that midfield. Very good. Very good. Mount, bless his heart.
That's Matt. That's Matt watching Man United play some nice football. He sent that himself in the group chat. He's really panicking. His arm, Matt. He's a panic. Sorry. Back to you, Sophia. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I apologize.
No. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. And with Mount, I was just saying, I don't see the role that he has in this team. Unfortunately, I hope it can work out. But I don't really see the vision, if I'm going to be very honest.
Yeah, he did very good on the goal, though. Like, I praise him.
Yeah. I'll give him that 100%. Yes.
The thing about him, he proved with that goal that he's just intelligent in open space. So it's like, I praise the assist, and I know what people are gonna say. They're gonna be like, it was a basic pass to Ahmad, and Ahmad just had to like cut in, dribble, and shoot from outside the box. How's that an assist? When you watch the goal again, just see how he moved to drag away the defender. After he made the pass, that made the opening for Ahmad to even cut in and shoot. And I would hope by now that everyone remembers that I wasn't even a fan of Mount signing. That was like one of my earliest days on the terrace that I was so pissed that we signed him, if you remember.
Yeah.
But he did very good there, and he just shows me like he could have a part in this team, but it's not going to be a massive role. It's going to be a limited role. He can't be our starting 8 or 10. And he definitely can't be on number 7, which is, I feel like these are the old mistakes from the old regime to even go this far with the signing.
Yeah.
It could be a decent part for us. He could play in certain games where we need to rotate, where we play against different oppositions, where we're dominating the ball a little bit more. Maybe you'll have him come in for a couple cameos, but he's not going to have a massive role with this team, unfortunately. But he did well for today. Like, there's nothing crazy.
Yeah. Andre here says our under 18s won everything except the Youth Cup last season. Our academy players look so comfortable on the ball, and yeah, look, they do. Look, Man United's academy. I mean, we had Matt in the group chat and on socials, and a gal like fuming that a young player from the Arsenal academy wants to join us, and their view was, why would he ever think about joining Man United and leaving Arsenal's academy? Everyone knows I've been very complimentary of Arsenal the last few years, and I speak very unbiasedly about them, but if we're being objective here, if you're a young player and you want to break through into a first team and you believe you're good enough, Man United's history, the minutes we give people, is definitely a better hunting ground for youth players than Arsenal. So I understand it, and we did have a few years where our academy kind of dried up a little bit, and for me it was sad to see, because our academy is such an important and integral part of Manchester United. 86 years we have had an academy graduate in our matchday squad. which is just ridiculous when you consider we're playing, 50, 60 games a season. It's thousands and thousands of games. So, I think it's over 4,200
Miguel also
games
thinks that
now.
Arsenal has a better academy, so I would take anything Miguel says with a pinch of
Yeah,
salt.
let's be honest now.
Well, Igal thought that Van Persie was from the Arsenal Academy, so I don't know. Look, though, I want to thank everybody that tuned into the Football Terrace today. Thank you very, very much indeed. We will be covering some more of the top sixes preseason games throughout the course of the summer. Quite a few of us play each other as well, so that's easily done as we build up. So listen, it's only under 4 weeks. Under 4 weeks until is back. I can't wait. I'm not going to lie. Sophia, Griggs, Staffy, KJ, always a pleasure to sit and speak football with you all. To all of the super chatters, everyone who's hit the like button, thank you. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.